Welcome to our series, Moving America Forward. Each week we'll be focusing on America's entrepreneurs as they take us to new roads, new opportunities, new ways to fill the gaps left by today's failing companies. Our series will be looking at that and a lot more. So come with me and watch as the entrepreneurs of our nation move into the future.
And I'm Doug Llewellyn here in our studios in Los Angeles with our guest today, who is from a company headquartered in La Jolla, California. The company is called Planfortomorrow. I'd like you to meet the founder and the CEO of the company on my left, Gary Stemple. Gary, welcome. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you, Doug.
A little while ago, you had a chance to answer some questions from William Shattner. So before we get going, let's pause and take a look at a brief portion of that and see how it went. Okay? Let's take a look.
You are certainly in an interesting business, but take a moment to describe to me exactly what you do and who you do it for and how it helps move America forward.
Well, thanks for asking, Mr. Shattner. Today, many Americans across the nation are unprepared for their future. They haven't properly planned for their retirement, and as a result, their future is uncertain. What we do is create a plan that puts all the pieces together, and in so doing helps solve some of the biggest financial problems facing Americans today. And that, Mr. Shattner, is how Planfortomorrow is helping to move America forward.
That was really interesting, Gary. I gather what Planfortomorrow does is really help people in the area of wealth accumulation and preservation. That's really the bottom line, isn't
Yes.
it? And you are what we would properly call a wealth manager?
Correct.
Explain to me a little bit about how you work. What really do you do?
Well, Doug, with 10,000 people a day turning 65, there's some real concerns out there. Do I have enough money? Have I saved enough? What about the cost of health care going forward? What about, do I have adequate coverage for life insurance or disability or long-term care? What about taxes and inflation? These are real issues facing Americans today.
So these are issues that people can come and get a frank answer from you and get an honest answer. And you really are in a position to examine where they are, their whole financial picture. And as you put it, it's really, you're like a helicopter. You take a helicopter and go over their whole financial plan.
Exactly. We leave no rock unturned. We want to turn every rock over and take a look inside and look at the assets and look at the people and match the two things up.
And in essence, who do you do this for?
Well, we have professionals, executives, retirees, business owners, people who come into wealth all of a sudden, anybody that has a need for understanding where they are financially.
And you don't have to be a multimillionaire to benefit from your services.
No, absolutely not. And in fact, the earlier you plan, the better off you are.
And the bottom line is, as I know I asked you before, the average age of the typical client who comes to you in the beginning, and it's really pretty interesting. They're getting along in life.
Absolutely.
At what age?
Well, 45 to 55 is a sweet spot, but many of my clients are 65 or 70. Something happens when all of a sudden you wake up and you're 65 years old and you realize that maybe you didn't plan the way you should have.
So what are the first steps you go through with a client when they come in to talk to you?
Well, we have an extensive data gathering process where we really ask a lot of questions, both qualitative and quantitative, to try to figure out who they are and what the people are that are around them, the important aspects of the family, and then what do they have to work with? What are the assets and the liabilities that they have currently?
And I know one of the things that you do ask them, you help to clarify their goals. Do they all have goals at that point?
Absolutely not. In fact, that's a big part of our practice, is to try to help them to clarify their goals and their objectives and also quantify those.
And when you say that, what does that mean?
Well, you may have a goal to educate your children. What does that mean? If you want to send your daughter to a college, what college? How much is it going to cost? When are you going to have to pay for it? How are you going to set up the steps to accumulate to meet that objective?
My guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that when people come to you at the age of 60 or 65, they're really right around retirement age. Although it is interesting, people are still working longer than 65 now.
Correct.
But still, I think the big fear is they're going to run out of money.
That is. In fact, that's one of the first questions people want to ask is, am I okay? Do I have enough?
And how does one know if they have enough?
Well, without building a financial model that's specific to your situation, you don't. So you have to build a model that's going to factor in what you have to work with and what your objectives are, and what you're currently spending so that you can get a picture looking forward of exactly what kind of financial situation you're in.
And a lot of time when you do this, is it surprising to your clients?
Well, yes. Many times the eyes bat a little bit, and sometimes it's good news, sometimes it's bad news, and then the next step that I help formulate is, well, what are we going to do to fix the problems?
And when you say we, you're talking about your team. You have a pretty sophisticated team of people that you work with.
Absolutely. I have my own staff within our office. I am also part of a larger network on a nationwide basis.
Right. You know, while we're at, how long you've been doing this? Give me a little bit of your background and qualifications.
25 years now I've been doing this. I actually started in the business because I had my own financial needs, and I realized there was probably a lot of other people out there that had similar needs.
Right.
So I decided to go in the business.
So you've been doing this. You're based in La Jolla. I know you're a San Diego resident all your life. Lucky,
I am.
Lucky you, you know. But the clients who can benefit from your services really don't have to be located in San Diego.
No, I'm licensed in multiple states, and I have a national presence. These days, between fax, email, you know, with the internet, you don't really need to have a personal representation all the time.
But I know once a year, for example, you'll have a major conference where you go over everything to see where they are. And
absolutely. I encourage my clients to meet at least once a year and take another picture of their current financial situation, because that's how you measure where you are and where you're going. If you want to project out where you're going to be next year, the year after that, and the year after that. But once you get there, you should look back and say, where did we think we were going to be and where are we currently?
Right. And are you the one, I mean, if I were a client of yours and I was considering, you know, making some major financial investment, like I was going to buy a new piece of property, another house, or lease a car or whatever, would you be the one I could call to get the proper advice?
I like to consider myself a quarterback. There's lots of other advisors that we might pull into the mix. You're the owner of the team. You're the decision maker, but my job is to give you, hey, this is what happens if we run this play. This is what happens if we run this one. This is the consequences and the risk, and then you make the decision on which way you want to go.
And suppose I'm young, I'm just starting out. Is it too early to talk to someone like you?
Absolutely not. And in fact, I like to use the analogy of building a house. You could be building a house and have the best products that are out there, the best copper and marble and carpeting and wood, and have it all show up on the lot. And then you could even find the finest contractors to build it for you, but you have the product and the contractors there at the same time. You say, go ahead and build the house. What are they going to say? They're going to say, well, where are the plans? So your financial house is going to be the same way. If you don't have a plan, an architectural blueprint of where you want to be, that house may not look like you want it to when you really need it.
That's an interesting point. You have a couple of things I want to go over. Number one, you create what you call an architectural blueprint. Now, what does that consist of?
Well, I call it a financial condition model, where we plug in all the assets and liabilities on a specific basis and really project out what we can expect based on current conservative assumptions, those assets to do and how it might impact you personally.
Right.
So it's in the context of your own personal situation. And as you know, everybody's situation is unique.
Sure, absolutely. The other thing, you have a family pyramid. What's that?
Well, we have a kind of a three-legged pyramid where we look at the bottom and the foundation of, am I okay? And that may be getting the right risk management things in place, having wills and trusts, making sure you're protected, beginning a portfolio, and making sure that you have enough to live the lifestyle that you become accustomed to. But then as you get older and you have more money, then you start thinking about your family and whether they're okay. That might be kids, it might be grandkids, it might be education funding. And again, wills and trusts come into play because distribution is important and assets are accumulated and distributed differently. If you move through those two phases successfully, then you can get to the point where we call it legacy planning. And that's, is my community okay? Or are there charitable intentions that I might want to use that would be over and above my family? And that's where the social capital comes into play.
Yeah, that's really pretty interesting. No question about that. You're not a broker, again, but you do work with their brokers if they're investing,
Well,
right?
actually, I do invest money, but I'm not a money manager. So my job is to help pick the best money managers on behalf of my clients. I am compensated as a registered investment advisor for money under management.
Okay. You also, I understand, work with some NFL players.
I'm one of the few registered NFL Player Association financial advisors. But they're not the only ones dealing with this. There might be a young person that receives a large inheritance,
Right.
Or something, win the lottery, what have you.
Right.
But at a young age, it's a real challenge when all of a sudden you have a lot of money and what decisions you might make.
That's very good. Any success stories you could share with me?
Oh, sure. Every situation's unique, but a number of years ago when they call the Great Depression or recession that we had, I had a couple clients referred to me who had a number of houses. They thought that real estate was the only thing to invest in, and so they bought 7 different houses in 7 different states with 7 different property managers, and the mortgages were all very high, and then when the market collapsed, they were all underwater.
Yeah.
And they came to me just distraught, trying to figure out what to do, sell the properties, short sales, foreclosure, whatever. And we worked through with the financial condition model and got them to the point to where they were able to keep the houses as properties, as investment properties, diversify around it, and they sleep a lot better tonight.
And it worked out
Today.
all right.
Yes.
That's a great story. Gary, thank you very much. It's very, very interesting hearing all about the work you do with Plan for Tomorrow in La Jolla, California. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Dad.
This organization represents companies across our great nation that embody the spirit, dedication, know-how, and can-do attitude which has made America the great nation that it is today. And now let's present the Keeping America Strong Award.
Now it is my honor to present this prestigious award to Gary Stemple, the owner of Plan for Tomorrow, headquartered in La Jolla, California, for the outstanding work that his company is doing to help keep America moving forward. Gary, pleasure to give this to you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Doug. I want to accept this on behalf of my family as well as my staff back home. Really appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome indeed.
I'm William Shattner, and for all of us at Moving America Forward, thanks for watching.